Plenty
he attacks journalists.
He respects
I
opponents.
have to say, I have to say this, Peter.
Yes.
He attacked multiple journalists, including our colleagues, who he does not like because they are very good at their job.
This is why he is so angry. He is so angry because he is an unpopular president, the least popular president at this point in their second term of any president this century.
That is Donald Trump. Bad jokes, making fun of people, slinging insults,
grievances,
lying. I mean, this is it.
Khomeini joke would have been delivered a little bit better. I thought there was some substance behind that one that the room would have took it as tongue-in-cheek.
It's just the same old stuff over and over and over again. And he can't even seem to get himself out of that cycle.
If you like Donald Trump, it was great. You thought it was great. You got your MAGA on. You felt proud. You thought he was funny as hell. But if you like Democrats, you thought he was pretty ignorant.
Guys, last night on Abby Phillips' show, MAGA pundits were utterly humiliated while defending Donald Trump's absurd speech at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. Abby and the progressive panelists fact-checked these MAGA creeps so thoroughly, they were left speechless. Now, I'm going to play some clips from the show, and I'll talk about it as we go.
We're here in New York after a more than hour-long speech by President Trump at his very first White House Correspondents' dinner as President of the United States. The speech was a lot of things, but I think a lot of people at home are probably wondering, what was that?
There were jokes that landed very well. There were jokes that did not. There were times when the remarks that were being delivered were funny and were flowing, and then there were times they were veered off script. I really wish that the Barry Weiss, Mushtaba Khomeini joke would have been delivered a little bit better. I thought there was some substance behind that one that the room would have took it as tongue-in-cheek.
It was kind of hard to wrap your head around.
Mm-hmm. But it's also like a shift in tone, right? Because this is 3 months after the first one had to be delayed because of an assassination attempt. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Charlie Kirk's assassination. It's been we just marked the 2-year anniversary of the Butler assassination. Shinzo Abe's assassination was 4 years ago this month. So, I think Trump is trying to have some levity. He's got some real emotions at play too, though.
I'd say there's two things that stuck out to me. One is there were no mention of an election that's coming up in 102 days, which is on lots of folks' minds. And the other thing that stood with me, and I've said it here before, is that if you like Donald Trump, it was great. You thought it was great. You got your MAGA on. You felt proud. You thought he was funny as hell. But if you like Democrats, you thought he was pretty ignorant. And if you're a middle road, you're still like, I'm not even going to watch this.
I don't know.
I heard you laugh.
I'm going to disagree with you only in the sense that I think for Trump, this was not funny.
Good speech.
No.
Trump can be very funny, but this speech was like a low-energy retread of a lot of old stuff, and it just wasn't his normal humor.
Low energy Donald. I mean, in a word, I would just call it was a bore. It was a bore for a man that I think can crack a lot of jokes. And the bottom line is this, I have a lot of trouble sleeping at night. I often have to take Benadryl, but I'm not going to have to take any Benadryl tonight because I could just replay that speech and I'll fall asleep like that.
I agree. Honestly, though, it was the exact speech I thought I was going to get. Like, that is Donald Trump. Bad jokes, making fun of people, slinging insults,
grievances,
lying. I mean, this is him, guys. Like, he's not going to change. It just was a terrible performance of his regular terrible hits.
All right, let's get our priorities straight.
Here we go.
Stay off the Benadryl. Go with magnesium.
Thank you.
Or melatonin.
Melatonin.
No, don't do melatonin. Skip the melatonin.
Okay, how about chamomile tea? All right? Look, Donald Trump, someone said in the last panel, sometimes you get up there and you knock it out of the park, and sometimes you get out there and you don't. And I have had to host a lot of going-away parties for DA's offices and judges, and most of the times I'm really good. And then there's a couple of times when I felt a little flat. The only joke that I cracked up on, what I thought was whoever wrote that was good, was Bruce Springsteen bored to run. I thought that was kind of a little bit clever, a play on words. But for the most part, I mean, Abby, we were here together watching. He was kind of droning on, and I mean, I learned for the first time that there's 7 levels now in front of the new ballroom that he's going to have for 6 months.
We all learn something new every day. Yeah.
Honestly, that was one of the most substantive things I took out of the whole.
He also cleared up a lot of speculation about his last appearance at a White House Correspondents' Dinner before he was president, when President Obama cracked a joke at his expense, or several jokes actually at his expense. And here's what Trump said about that tonight.
There's one time in particular when Barack Hussein Obama hosted it. Do you know who that is? And he hit me hard, but actually he hit me with respect. In fact, I loved the evening. I looked at my wife, I said, can you believe it? All these people, that's all they're doing is talking about me. I love this dinner. It's true. And Obama was nice. It's amazing how things work out. He actually showed a picture of the White House with a big Trump on top, like I put a sign. And I'm sort of doing that when you think about it.
That's funny because it's true.
Guys, here's the thing. Instead of delivering the traditional lighthearted speech expected at this event, Trump turned it into cheap comedy, attacks on the media, and attacks against Democrats. If you followed this orange man in the Oval Office over the years, you already know that his tone has always been insulting to journalists who try to criticize him. He didn't hold back this time either. Once again, he accused many news organizations and labeled them biased and dishonest. I mean, what the F are you talking about, you moron? These investigative journalists put their careers on the line every day just to do their job. They expose the administration's failures. And honestly, they're very good at what they do. Show them some respect, you egotistical piece of crap. But that wasn't even the worst part. Things only got more embarrassing from there. Trump joked about serving a third term and even hinted at a fourth. That is absolutely outrageous. You are an utter disgrace to the Constitution, which limits presidents to 2 elected terms.
When you look back on that Obama video, he got it exactly right. That Trump basically turned it into, like a Chinese food restaurant.
Well, he wants to do it with the arch,
the Oval
right?
Office labeled. But do you buy that what he was saying, which is that it didn't hurt his feelings, it didn't affect
There are
his decision to
people, if they actually got checks for living rent-free in Donald Trump's head, would never have to work again. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton. Yes, that's why Caitlin Collins, clearly. Shout out to Caitlin. Keep her name out your mouth. But no, like that night really agitated Donald Trump, I think, to actually run for president again. He was so insulted. He was so offended. Of course. And he still talks about him. Barack Obama has not been president since 2016. Why are you bringing him up? There has been a whole president between Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and now...
You and I talk this all the time. Whether you like it or not, and I would think you would like it considering your history, Barack Obama is still the leader of the Democratic Party. It's not Joe Biden. It is not Nancy Pelosi. These are people who are a little past their prime. It's not Chuck Schumer. It is Barack Obama and Michelle Obama.
Yes,
they
but
are
you
the
know who
leaders
else
of the Democratic
he
Party.
brought up, which I also thought was interesting?
It's not Kamala.
The first Democrat he brought up, I believe, was AOC. It actually was telling, like, there are things happening in this country that Donald Trump is paying attention to. And whether you like it or not, which I don't, Donald Trump does have his finger on the pulse sometimes of what people are paying attention to. And him pointing out AOC, I would say, Democrats, wake up.
Well, it's, I mean, almost to that point, this speech was not terribly funny, but it was a window into his mind, which is sort of stuck on this constant loop of, Shifty Adam Schiff and all this, all the name calling. And it's just the same old stuff over and over and over again. And he can't even seem to get himself out of that cycle.
But to your point on the AOC, yes, there's criticism, but he reserves the harshest criticism for folks who are just not good at their jobs. The comedians who aren't funny. The journalists who don't seem to be smart.
Well,
the folks
that's not that. We know that is not true.
He attacks plenty
He attacks journalists.
He respects
I have to
work,
say, I have to say this,
too.
Peter.
Yes.
He attacked multiple journalists, including our colleagues, who he does not like because they are very good at their jobs. Yes. And one of the things he had to do tonight was sit on that stage while they were being awarded for their exceptional reporting of his scandals.
And he shook their hands.
So this is not about, they're bad at their job.
And they made fun of
This is about, I don't even care. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about the ones who won awards or the ones who didn't, or the comedians or whatever. He's mad because he doesn't like people who make him look bad.
And
That's
yeah, at the end,
not a position of strength.
his remarks.
Guys, the MAGA pundits keep licking his boots as they defended those foolish statements by saying that he was just trolling his critics. They'll support every ridiculous thing Trump does, no matter what. It made me sick watching this brainless president spend so much time launching personal attacks on others. He took shots at journalists, Democratic politicians, TV personalities, and just about anyone who criticizes him. But here's what's caught my attention the most. Trump didn't stop there. He even defended his lawsuits against media organizations. And that's a big deal because it shows he's using the courts as another battleground. Guys, normally presidents use this event to celebrate the role of the press, crack a few bipartisan jokes, and poke a little fun at themselves. But this idiot in power turned the whole thing into an opportunity to insult people. His speech focused mainly on attacks against the media, legal battles, and politician grievances. He completely missed an opportunity to bring the whole country together, even for one evening. Instead of behaving like a leader, he made himself look like a national laughingstock.
At the end, we're pretty gracious. I mean,
Come
it's hard
on.
to separate. No, his closing
The
remarks.
bar is so low.
No, fair
The
enough.
bar
but the closing
is
remarks
so
were not,
low.
you guys
You
go
are
to hell. It was, thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful.
That is not gracious. That is common courtesy. That is just like baseline. Thank you for having me.
I mean, courtesy and graciousness are kind of
Okay, but
linked attributes.
I would actually just say like, let's want more. Let's just say like, thank you for having me. Demand more. You deserve better. Trust me.
Okay.
He's mad because his approval rating is lower than the percentage of that speech in which I was yawning. This is why he is so angry. He is so angry because he is an unpopular president, the least popular president at this point in their second term of any president this century. And so he is lashing out because he knows that in a few months, his party is going to face the voters. And more likely than not, at least part of that party, at least in the House of Representatives, is going to get turned out of power. And that is because Donald John Trump, simply put, is significantly less popular than he was a year and a half ago.
That's the most important thing because he has won. And as a Democrat, I give him credit for winning. When you win the election, you get the spoils, you get to run shit. But that's why he's really mad.
But how accurate are those numbers? Because I was the guy who said all over TV the night before the election with Hillary Clinton, by 9:15, Hillary will be shooting off fireworks because all the polls showed she was going to crush him. When he says 90% of the press is against him, 90% of the reporting, maybe it's only in the 80s. That was one of his jokes. How much does that influence those polls that you get now on your cell phone? You're the numbers guy. I'm asking. I'm not.
No, I think it's a genuine question, which is we obviously saw in 2016 and 2020 the polls did underestimate Donald Trump. But the one instance in which he was in the White House but not on the ballot in 2018, the polls were pretty much right on. The bottom line is this. There are a lot of voters who will turn out for Donald Trump who traditionally have not turned out for other Republicans down ballot. We saw it last year in Virginia, New Jersey. We've seen in the special elections with Democrats outperforming. We just know that through history, when the president's approval rating is anywhere close to where Donald Trump is, let's say he's 5 points higher and somehow into the mid-40s, that's still really low heading into a midterm election. Look,
I mean, is it? I don't know. Is it?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only presidents who were able to actually gain seats with their party in the House of Representatives were Bill Clinton in 1998 and George W. Bush in 2002.
1998.
You're
not
correct.
1991.
No, not 1998. And their approval ratings were north of 60%.
All right.
That's it for today, guys. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.